All right, welcome to Nathaneal Podcast. Today we have a good friend of mine from Esther. Hi, Esther.
Hi, thank you for having me today. And yeah, I'm very excited for my first podcast ever.
Wow, that's so. This is your first guest. Oh wow, I'm honored.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Um, I I noticed that your name when you booked the call is Estere, but your name on X is Esther. Like, what's the background behind that?
Great question. Yeah, my native name is pronounced way differently than what it is on X.
Okay.
And I wanted to make it more universal and more like international for
Mm.
people to like pronounce it more easily. And that's why I didn't put my like native name, which is Esther, but I put in like Esther because it's
Okay.
like easier to pronounce and easier for people to understand and go by. So, yeah, that's kind of the
I see.
story.
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, Esther. But I mean, I like Es because the reason why I stand out. I think one of the reasons why is my name is unique. My Nathaniel is not the normal Nathaniel, and like a lot of people told me that I tend to stand out because of that name. So yeah, I mean maybe just an idea like if you want to stand out more. But I mean you're already doing so well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. I mean, I had a hard time pronouncing your name, and up until now, the whole time I thought your name is like Nathan, and only recently did I discover that it's like Nathaniel, correct?
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm also as confused as you are. It was my mom's fault. She just like it was supposed to be Nathaniel with Ael, but it became Nathaniel, and then it's just confusing. So actually, at home, I'm called Nat, just Nat, and
Yeah.
I mean it's just too simple. It also sounds like I know a lot of Natalie's who are called Nat. So yeah, I just want to ask. My first question is like, now that you do X, right? If a stranger comes up to you and asks you like, "What do you do? Are you in college?" or like, "What do you do in life?" What do you tell them?
That's an interesting question because I get asked that pretty quite often. And I get asked that by my parents, and they see that I'm like on my PC the whole time and like spending my whole time doing something. But I do not want to reveal them exactly what I'm doing. And that's why I always just brush it off saying, like, oh, I'm just like studying or like, just something, doing something.
Mm,
And I do not precisely tell them what it is that I'm doing. And when it is like a stranger or like a friend that asks
mm,
me that, it's like I try to explain them that I'm making money online by providing coaching services to creators or business owners looking to grow and monetize their brand. And most of the time, their reaction is like, wow, that is so like cool, so impressive, and all that kind of stuff. But I never really want to like tell people what exactly I do outside of my ex friends and
mm,
people that I meet online because from where I'm from, it's very uncommon for you to like earn money online and like earn anything about 1K a month. And that's like a
mm,
lot to us here in this country. So that's why I never really disclose how much I make to my like friends in real life or my family. I never really tell them that I'm doing this online thing and I'm actually making money from it. I just like try to tell them that, oh, it's like something that I'm trying to do, but in reality, it's going pretty great. It's quite successful and probably the first business that is taking off.
that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, I'm just curious though. Like before X happened, what were your plans? Yeah, you one of your posts like you took a gap year from college, right? But like if you wouldn't have taken that, like what were your plans?
If I hadn't taken a gap year, I would have probably went to apply to uni around this time And as I'm still in the process of graduating from high school, I think I would just be in the process of applying to a university and going to get like a lawyer degree or psychology degree. However, I was considering learning business and
Mhm.
getting like master's or bachelor's degree in that. But then I decided that it is not what I want to pursue, and I had always known that I do not want to go the traditional route that
Mhm.
everyone takes, because I had attempted like multiple businesses in the past 3 years, and none of them were
Interesting.
successful. Yeah, and
What
that's why I was
businesses were
like,
the?
I also made a post about this one. It was like anything from like dropshipping, theme pages, like Etsy shops, graphic design, trading. That was the
Wow.
most recent one. Yeah. And none of them were like successful. I barely made maybe like €5 doing that. So, it hit me like an epiphany that I needed to really change my life and like start doing what I want. And I knew that if I went to uni, it would simply just take away from the time I would rather spend working on a business that I love. So, about like 3 months ago, I made this decision to tell my parents that I'm taking a gap year, and I didn't really explain it what I'm going to be doing, but I just told them like I want to enjoy life or like find myself and
Mm.
travel more and all that kind of stuff. So they wouldn't get concerned as to what I'm doing online, and still to this day, they don't know exactly what I'm doing, but uh, yeah,
I see. I see. So you mentioned there, it's very interesting for me because like, what, you're 18, right?
yeah, I'm
And
18.
and you've been trying like businesses. Where do you think like that entrepreneurial spirit came from? Like, is your family on? Is your family a family of entrepreneurs, or like where'd that come from?
That's a great question. I mean, ever since I was like 7 or 8 years old, I always knew that I would want to like grow up and be like a business woman, like
Wow.
be in the business and do like something like that earns me a lot of money. But at that time, I didn't know exactly what that would be. I just knew that it would be just something big. And I think it just stems from my childhood of like wanting to do things my own way. And growing
Mhm.
up, I never really had like that supportive friends or family, and that's how I learned to also be like very independent and like
Mm.
not to be afraid to stand out and like just chill by yourself and like spend time by yourself. And like that's also the way I discovered that like if I pursue business, like no one is going to have any advantage over me,
Mm.
and I'm going to be like my own boss. And like I was always obsessed with that. And yeah,
Wow. So you're just like, you just really wanted to be independent.
I would say so, yeah. I always knew that I wasn't like too extroverted or too friendly to everyone, like that. I wasn't that like social butterfly. I realized that I'm like so fine on my own that like I can do whatever I want, and it gives me that freedom of like not having to comply to like society's wants and needs, and like just vibing and like doing whatever you love, and like maybe along the way finding multiple like-minded people and like a small friend group of like-minded creators and entrepreneurs that I can vibe with. So this is also what I'm currently doing. And since I got on X, I've also found like such a small tight-knit community of very very positive and like-minded people, and I would say like X is the best place for like finding your true friends as well. And like it's
Yeah.
such a supportive community. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, just to touch on that, I've been trying to grow LinkedIn, so like, it's actually really easy for some reason. Like, yeah, in 1 week I grew from like 0 to 50. It's like it's really easy there, and but one thing that I noticed is that it's really hard to be authentic because what's this? like it's so corporate. Like you need to. It's so full of persona. Like it can't be your raw self. Yeah, I just noticed that. But one question I do want to ask is, you have always had this independent spirit in you. Like, did your parents not feel worried, or like did they not try to stop you or something?
Um, Thankfully, they have not tried to stop me from taking a gap year. And whatever I did, whatever I would do, they would kind of always be supportive of me pursuing the things that I love. Can you hear me? Can you hear me
Yeah,
well?
yeah. I'm sorry. I my internet is going insane. So yeah, you mentioned they didn't stop you from doing what you love.
Yeah, I mean, I was never like open of telling them what exactly I was doing at the time, whether it be like, pursuing my first side hustle or starting like an e-com store or whatever. Like, I never really told them about anything that I was doing behind the scenes. And that's why I wouldn't say that they ever really had that power over me to like tell me that you cannot do this or that, because I didn't even know what I was doing in the first place. But if I had to look at it from the perspective of like growing up, in that sense, like they never refrained me from doing the things that I loved, and they were very supportive of me as I'm like the only child in the family. They're like
I see.
always very loving and supportive of whether it be taking on a new hobby or like going out with friends and that kind of stuff. But
Mm.
if I showed up late to home, then they would start to get worried. And that's just a small thing about that.
I see. I see. That's very interesting. Like your family's quite, because for me, actually, in like at least in my experience here in the Philippines, right? Um, Most families who have like their first child, especially if it's a woman, they would actually like really be protective, like super uber protective, and want like a safe path, right? Like they kind of want them to like succeed in a way that is in par with society standards. So it's very interesting that your family is like quite chill with that, because
Yeah.
again, here it's like I feel like that's one of the reasons why also my mother was quite um, stressed out, and that's why I can't blame her for things that she did too, because she's made some harsh things. Is that she was the breadwinner, like she
No.
a pressure was put on her to become successful because she was the one who was going to like bring the family forward. And yeah, I really find it interesting that your parents kind of didn't do that to you.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to you a lot because I would say my mom was also the breadwinner of the family.
Mm,
And she would be like more protective in comparison to my dad. Like my dad was more on like the chill vibe and like would
yeah.
always let me be myself and like go out late at night and do that all kind of stuff. Like mom is very, very protective and like texting me all the time, and like she can always sense what I'm doing behind the screen. And yeah, I was over at her house one day and like just doing my work, and as I mentioned, like I did not tell her that I'm running this online business, but she could tell that, oh, are you
Mm,
making money online? So she is very, very protective of that, but I would never let her really influence my
mm.
career path by letting her decide what I want to do, because yet again, 18 years old, I'm an adult right now, and that's why I want to take my own life in my own hands and be the one to like decide what I want to do and not let my parents influence my decision making. However, I can take their stance on it, but like I will never let it 100% influence my path.
I love it. I love it. I love the attitude. Yeah, I kind of I have that. I had that mentality just last year because that was when I left home. But then again, yeah, my story is like less. Like it's more like it's more messy because I needed to leave home broke. Like really, when I left home, I had $0. I didn't even have a bank account when I left home. Dude, I had no bank account. The only way I could get money there was through an app, like a digital. It's like a digital bank, but it's not really like a bank. So yeah, man, it was really hard for me to like go away from my family because I was completely dependent on them. But yeah, congrats on doing that. So I right now, just to clarify, you are living not with your family anymore.
No, I'm not living with my family anymore, and I moved out on my own when I was 16 years old.
Dude, you're a gangster, bro. What the what? How did you do that?
I'm not too sure. Well, we were having like family issues at the time, so I was like kind of forced to move out on my own. And I originally grew up in a small like country town, which is not the capital. And when I was 16, I moved on my own, moved in with my boyfriend in the capital, and then we started like living together. So technically, I could say that I am living on my own and have been doing that since 16. Yeah, for the past 3 years.
Bro, you're a gangster, bro. What the hell? You did that in 16. It took me like 20 years to do that. And you did that before you even hit 18. What the hell, bro? Yo, this is crazy, man. Bro, I feel like you're going to be like ultra successful because man, that's what I want to say. Like bro, you take risks, like wild risks. What was going on in your mind when you did that?
Honestly, I felt so liberated and like relieved from my parents because like I did not want to rely on them and like be dependent on them because I realized like I want to start living my own life, and this life that I want to start living and creating requires like sacrifices and like starting a new life over again. Like that's why I moved in to a really really tiny apartment which is like only 20 square meters, and I could like barely find a place to like sleep at night because of
Yeah,
how small that place was. But I was
yeah,
at least happy with what I was. Like, I felt so free that I could do whatever I wanted. And yet again, I was like a 16-year-old in the capital all on my own, but I was at the same time still in school and I applied to a new job. So
yeah,
I started working there, living there, and still simultaneously attending school every single day. And that was like a big turning point in my life because I also realized like if you surround yourself in the same environment for years on end, you're never really going to grow outside of
yeah,
that environment. And if you want to achieve the goals you've never had, that you've never succeeded in, then you have to do things you've never done before. So I was like taking on that risk, knowing that there was so much potential lying in that. Um, moving out like would be the best decision I would make. So I do not regret it at all. It was the best decision I made in my whole life, and I feel so free and like so happy living on my own. However, I still do meet my parents a couple times a month, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh my god, dude, that was the exact same thing that happened to me actually. So if you don't mind me sharing, when I moved out, a lot of family problems too. I was already in university, so I didn't take a gap year like you did. If I was younger, if I did, I probably would have taken a gap year too. But I was already in university. I was just following my family's path. So again, like I grew up just like following everything that my family said. And then like during the pandemic, that was when I kind of like had a change of mindset because that's when everything stopped. So like you can't sweep anything under the rug anymore. You know, like when there were family problems, you were stuck at home with your family and you have to like deal with it. It's not just like, okay, let's forget about it, go to work and, forget about everything that happened. We couldn't do that anymore. Like when I was angry with my family, I was stuck with them in there and had to process it. So that's really when I kind of like became more aware of what was happening in my life. That's when I started journaling. I started like working out. I started like doing, you know, becoming more self-aware. And yeah, just last year I left home, and I also went. I went to I went to my girlfriend's apartment. Like I had $0, and I knocked on her door. I just told her like, can I live here for a while? And same thing, like we didn't even have like she had a small mattress that, and so I slept on the floor because we couldn't fit in the mattress. And yeah, it was the same thing. We didn't have air conditioner even. So yeah, it was also a crappy apartment. But yeah, it helped me build my character up. It's so funny
Totally.
because when you were saying that, I was remembering that it was the exact same thing that happened to me, and it also built my character. So yeah,
Totally.
man. But you did that, dude. I'm still astounded that you did that when you were 16. Like that was such a gangster move. Did you not? Is it not like illegal in your country? Like, because I would imagine if you're 16, is there not like a law in your country that you can't that you're still a minor or something?
Yeah, at the time I was a minor, but it's common in my country to like move out on your own when you're like 15, 16, 17. And yeah, I was just like pretty I was always looking forward to like moving out on my own, whether it be like 14 years old, 15 years old. I did not care. I just wanted to have my own freedom. And it finally happened at 16 years old. And I would say the biggest turning point for me was also during the pandemic, which I can really relate to, because during the pandemic, as you said, like if you have any arguments with your parents, you're forced to like deal with that and like take also part in it, whether you want it
Mm,
or not. And you're like stagnating in the same energy for such a period, such a long period of time, that you cannot like grow outside of that, and you cannot like
yeah.
find new opportunities for growth. And that's also when I discovered like self-improvement. I was,
Mm,
journaling, reading every single day, doing
yeah.
meditations, going to the gym,
Yeah.
doing all that kind of stuff, listening to these high
Podcasts.
frequency
Oh no. Okay.
podcasts as well. Yeah, high frequency everything. I was even vegan. I went vegan for a
Whoa,
year.
that's wild. I didn't go that far.
Yeah,
Well,
I was
did you do
pretty.
like intermittent fasting? Did you try that? Because I tried that.
Yeah, I tried even fasting for 24 hours on it, like
Yeah.
doing crazy things, just like crazy stuff. And I was like, manifesting and doing all that kind of stuff, visualization. And like,
That's
I was
funny.
like, wait, why is my bank account not growing? Like, I'm doing what everyone is like telling me to. I'm looking at these Imagazi videos and
Yeah.
like
Okay.
all these self-improvement videos. Like, why am I not,
Rich.
becoming more wealthy? Exactly. I'm like, something must change. So that's when I
Mm.
like quit being vegan, quit everything I was doing. I'm like, screw this. I just need to like start working on something. So that's when I realized I need to start getting to the bag,
Mm.
basically. And that's when I also applied to my first ever job, which was when I first moved out of my parents' house, like moved into the capital, applied for a new job, worked there as a barista for a year, and I ended up getting kind of like fired, although like the
Why?
workspace,
What happened?
I don't know. They just didn't like my entrepreneurial spirit. I swear. I
What'd you
swear.
do? Like, did you tell them your coffee sucks? This is a like more efficient way of like. What did you tell them?
Oh no. I was just like, in the workplace, everyone was so toxic and like small-minded, and whenever I was like thinking bigger than them, they would think
Yeah.
like I'm such an egotistical person.
Right.
I'm so
Okay.
arrogant, all that kind of stuff. So they did not like my entrepreneurial spirit, I would say, and I got fired. And I was like, yes, it's the happiest day of my
What
life.
the fuck? That's so funny, man. You're like, yeah, I got fired. Let's go.
I swear, and it was like so liberating, and it was like it was like finally. And after a year working there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a break for a couple of months. So it was around the corner of the beginning of summer. So I spent the whole summer just like relaxing from that previous job because it was pretty traumatizing. And then I realized my bank account is getting dry again. I need to apply
Mm.
for a new job. And I applied for the same position. I worked as a barista again, but at a different coffee shop franchise. And the work environment was so great, and I actually enjoyed that. But my daily life would just look so repetitive,
Mm.
and like I just hated that. Although like I was getting paid like €3 an hour, I was, a bit happier in the workspace, but like I was still not fulfilled, and
Mm.
I could not understand like what to do with my life. And that was also when I was trying to start a new online business, start like trading, start like
Okay.
getting some, making some moves online basically. And
Yeah.
it was 3 months ago that I decided I want to leave this because my days would look like this. I would wake up at 7 a.m., spend 8 hours at school, then immediately after that, go to my job and work
Mm.
8 hour shifts until 10 or 11 p.m. And I would be at home at like 11:30, and I would not have time for myself. I could
Yeah.
not find time to like relax or reflect or like take care of myself. And I
Mm.
realized like this is so draining, and like I'm not getting paid enough to be doing this. So I said screw this. And again I said screw this. And after 5 months of working there, I was like, okay, this is my last time that I attempt a business model, and I'm actually going to like make it work. Like I
Mm.
do not have any other option. I'm not going back to working for €3 an hour. So that's also how I started writing on X. That's how I discovered like
How'd you
copywriting.
discover it?
Yeah. So I was just like looking at some SMMA videos on YouTube or something, and I discovered that copywriting is such a great skill to have because you can
Okay.
build landing pages, offers, like literally monetize a skill, be a ghostwriter, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, damn, this is such a like nice skill to have, very useful. So I was like, okay, without taking on any Danko courses or anything like that, I just like started writing on X, and I was like, I'm gonna just see how this goes. I have no idea
Mm.
what I'm doing. I have no idea what is a hook, but I'll just write. So I just started writing. In the first month, I only gained like barely 100 followers, I think.
Mm.
And I was like, damn, I really suck at this. I'm like, screw this. Maybe this is another failed business.
Okay.
Yeah, I swear. And I was like, okay, how about I just try and post something different? So
Okay.
I posted just a picture of Bunny, and it went viral. And it was like the first turning point in this business where I
Yeah.
started seeing the potential of this. And
I
I
get.
gained like my first 50 likes on that post, and I was like so raving. I was like so damn happy. And I was like, I, the happiest girl ever. And I was also getting more traction, started getting more followers. I think I gained like 100 followers overnight.
Mm.
And then soon after that, I realized that, damn, I'm like pretty into storytelling, pretty much into it. And then I started writing stories, and my stories would blow up. And my stories would give me more followers, and like again, 100 followers in 24 hours. And I was like, this is my skill. This is my unfair advantage. So
Yeah.
I really focused on nailing down storytelling and focusing on that.
Mm.
And I realized this was like the fastest way I grew my account because like everyone on Twitter is either talking about growth or money, and
Yeah.
it's just become so repetitive that they have built so much tolerance to this. They're
Mm.
no longer stimulated to seeing the same stuff over again. So I was like, people need to feel emotions, and they need to feel emotions through words. So how can you do that? Is by telling stories about yourself and speaking about your lessons, because chances are the person on the other side of the screen can relate to these stories. And that's how I was also able to go mega viral, gain like 1,000 followers in 24 hours,
Yeah, that was
because
insane. That was insane.
that was That was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. And I never thought that would be possible, honestly. I never thought it would just like take off instantly, like 100 likes in an hour. And then I see like every time I open my notifications tab, it's like going like this and this and
Yeah.
this. I was like astounded. But I realized the reason why I was able to like go mega viral is because like I wasn't afraid of being original and like not following like viral frameworks or the bullet points or like writing this many words in a sentence. I was like, this is my story. I want to tell people about that, and I'm just going to write it in my own way that I want to. And
Cool.
I literally wrote that story in like 15 minutes, and I didn't know like how well it would perform. So I just posted, I added a picture of myself, because when you add pictures to your own
It becomes
stories, the engagement is just like way better, and like people can also see you and the story about that person, so it's like very complimentary.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I went like crazy viral, and like people, like my DMs were so flooded with the same messages saying like, yeah, I also took a gap year, and like I really support your like decision, and like you're very like motivational, inspirational. And I realized the reason why it spoke with like such a large group of like audience, like why did it target such a huge market, is because it's also very it's a common misconception that people have that, oh, if you do not go the traditional route, you're going to be unsuccessful. And I've also seen a lot of people in the same like age range not want to like pursue university. So those are the only two things that I included and took into account when writing that story. I realized like this is like such a common thing that people are like experiencing, and that is very prevalent nowadays as well. And it's just speaking about yourself and like not thinking of like, oh, do I follow this framework, the viral framework, or do I follow this like hook method? Just like write and see what works. And my first stories didn't blow up. They literally flopped. But the way I got better is by like relentless repetition and learning from your own mistakes. And the best thing you can do is learn from your own mistakes and not learning from others' mistakes. I would say it's like 50-50. They're both very beneficial, but the best thing you can do is like analyze your profile and look at what people like the most. Which posts do they resonate with? Which posts do they not like? And when you do that, you understand your audience way better, because when you take, for example, like a post from your feed and try to replicate it, chances are like that person's account is targeting a different audience. And then when you copy their post, it's not going to target your audience. So the post may flop.
Yeah. But there's a lot of things that you mentioned that, well, yeah, it was really quite a lot of ideas popped in my head. Do you know Nicholas Cole?
I barely know the guy, honestly.
But anyways, so there, Nicholas Cole, he's one of the top guys on X, and he's actually the reason why I got into online writing. So yeah, just connecting everything that you said as well is, I was also like a guy. Yeah, I talk about this in my tweets where I also did a 9 to 5 job while studying. I did like night shifts even, so I would have like 4 hours of sleep because I needed to do like 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. and then study because I was in university, and then like just do that over and over again. And I actually did that for a year, just because like, manliness. Oh yeah, push yourself hard. You're not trying hard enough. Things like that. But I was always looking for self improvement, and so yeah, I stumbled across Nicholas Cole's book, The Art and Business of Online Writing. So because I like to read books, self improvement, anything, and I read his book, and he actually wrote in Quora, where I also started. I just wrote in Quora every day. No, same as you. No idea what I was doing. Just like just posting something. And I like Quora because there's questions. So I don't just post anything about myself. It's like there's a question in Quora and then I answer it with my experience. That's what Nicholas Cole teaches you. So it's like my most viral post there is like, how do you look for the perfect girl or something like that? And then I posted like, all my life I've been looking for the perfect girl. But then I realized that it's not about looking for the perfect girl. It's about it's about making yourself the perfect man for the girl that's meant for you. So something like that. So it's like taking own responsibility and actually building yourself rather than choosing, because who cares if you found the perfect girl if you're like a loser. Yeah, but anyways, that's what he was doing. He was answering Quora questions. And like you, that's what happened to him too. Like he just wrote about those things. He just wrote about his stories relating to the questions in Quora, and he blew up. He wrote about his transformation from being a skinny guy to a shredded like bodybuilder, and then people just DM'd him like talking about what was his diet, what was his exercise, and then that's how he made money, just by like writing about himself. So yeah, just connecting what you were saying, because that's kind of like what happened to me. But I forced it more because I was like, when I just was posting things on Twitter, and then I blew up from 100 to 600, and then I was like, oh, this is interesting. I cut off everything else. I focused on Twitter, and then 600 to 1,000. That's when I went all in. I took a break from university, and then I was just working and doing Twitter. And since I was working then, I had like savings. I invested. So I did a lot of courses. I did Danco, I did Jack Moses, I did PJ, Nicholas Cole. I did coaching. Now I'm doing sales coaching. So really, like, I am investing money on coaching because I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm just like invest on things that will make me money. That's my mentality. So
Yeah.
I was always that guy, and yeah, it worked out for me too, because I just blew up and things happen. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, I think that's what you gotta do, and it's one of the lessons in Nicholas Cole's book too. Is just like be consistent. Before thinking of how can I write better, think of how can I write more often, right? Because better won't matter if you can't do it you can't nail down the consistency. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I would say 100%. When it comes to consistency, the algorithm also like favors those who are consistent with posting daily. And it shows because for the past month, my growth was like very, very fast and rapid, and I was like growing insanely fast. But this month, it's like I wasn't that active on Twitter last week because I had exams, I had other things going on, and I just was posting like once a day. And then I realized, like, I checked my analytics and I saw like everything was down, like followers down, likes down, impressions down. Like, it's all about consistency, because in the end, it's like what compounds, and your actions that you take now are going to be the result you get in like a 1 month period, in 1 month time. So whatever you do now, if you're posting like 4 times a day and you're not getting the results you want like instantly, trust me, it's like the compounding effect of you like actually like putting in the work, understanding what makes a great post, how to write a story, and then it's going to pay off in the long run. Because sometimes for beginners especially, things don't take off that instantly. The algorithm has to like understand that, okay, this is a person who's like active on X, so
and then that's
it's
when they
going
show.
to that's when it all gets rewarded, only after like some period of time. It's never going to be instant. And that's why I was also like very perseverant of this journey. I was not seeing like instant results.
Mm.
And in the beginning, I saw only like 1 like or 2 likes on my post. And I was like, okay, maybe this is not meant for me. But I just realized that whatever you do, especially in business, like good things take time. And I did not even expect to make my first dollar online only 42 days in my journey. And it happened only because I was consistent, only because I believed and enjoyed the process. And every day I was like, okay, I did not get like that many likes. Okay, like I'm going to keep going because I enjoy the process. I love writing. I love educating myself and like improving myself. And it all paid off. And it all paid off, and it always pays off. And whatever you're working on right now, it's definitely just going to show off in the next 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4,
Yeah.
months.
Yeah. I like to say that like you can make money doing anything, with drop shipping, trading, you can do that. But that's why it's important to see what you actually love, because some traders actually love trading. Like some drop shippers actually love what they're doing. That's why they can make money off of it, because they actually like what they're doing. But if you don't like what you're doing, it doesn't matter. The money won't matter because you can't be consistent with it. So yeah, just speaking of first dollar, how did that feel for you when you made money online in X?
That felt so amazing. So I made my first dollar when I launched my first giveaway. And yeah, I will be launching another one this month. But when I first launched my giveaway, it also went pretty crazy,
Yeah.
gained a lot of new followers, more traction. And I, at the time, had it on Gumroad, and it was like a free product, but you were able to like pay the amount you choose. So you can choose how much you want to pay. If you want to pay 0, okay, more, fine. And that's when I also started getting my first like donations, I would say. Like I saw not only my friends paying for the product, but also like strangers and my followers, my fans paying for it and like willing to invest, because it was just that great and with so much value. And that's where I realized that, okay, if people are willing to pay for this product and saying that, okay, it's so great, I made it paid afterwards. And that's how I was also able to get a sale every single day after like 2 weeks of the launch, and like still get sales now. And that's really how you also start like earning money while you sleep, is just like making these digital products and like doing the marketing well. And if people love it, they're just going to keep loving you even more.
Yeah. I should definitely do that. I haven't done that yet, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe I
it
should.
felt like yeah
You were saying like it felt what?
it felt like so crazy. And like not even that, like my first like dollar online was like 5 euros.
Yeah.
But what felt different was like signing my first client for coaching. And
Yeah,
it
that is
was like,
crazy.
it was life changing. And I was like, this is the moment I had been waiting for 3 years. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I was so freaking happy, because
Yeah.
before I signed my first client, I had like 3 sales calls and I couldn't sign them. And I was like, okay, like I probably won't like close anyone in the next week or so, or until I get a mentor, or until like, a year or so. And on that same day, I had another call left with a potential client, and it was my first client that I signed, and ended up being a very, very great client to work with. And like I was so damn happy, and I was like, god damn, this is actually what you can do. Like this is real. Like online money is real. Like your potential is so limitless, and like you just need so much of your self-belief. And I just like was in disbelief for like a whole week. And
Right.
obviously I celebrated that a little bit because it was such a huge milestone,
How'd you
and it
celebrate
was
it?
I just went out with my boyfriend. Like, we had a glass of like wine at a
All right,
restaurant,
yeah, I
and we
saw
just
you.
like,
You took a picture there, right? I remember you
yeah,
posted that,
yeah,
right?
and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was, yeah, and soon after that, yeah, I also just got a VA to help me out with other stuff. Yeah.
Cool, cool. That's dope. Yeah, I can remember my first client too. That was
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah, it
like
was like,
it's crazy because yeah, even the first money, the dollar, you could imagine because it's like you do things for free so often because that's what you do in content, and then someone pays you. It's just like
yeah.
what like bro because like you're just putting in the I don't know man it's so crazy to think about it because when you apply for a job it's like when you get paid you don't really make it a big deal right but when
Yeah.
in entrepreneurship it's like you're doing things for free and then suddenly you get paid it's like what the hell
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
right
it's like crazy because you don't know when you're gonna get your first
yeah
dollar. You don't know when you're gonna sign your first client. You don't even know what the hell you're doing. And all of a sudden you just like have someone willing to pay for whatever you're doing,
right
and like paying amount that you earned slaving every single day of your 9 to 5. So it was like such a huge turning point, and I was like, that's it. I'm going all in on this business.
okay
And from there on, signing clients, yeah, became a lot easier. And I started like skipping school because of business. And
what a gangster, bro! This, oh God, you're such a gangster. You're so funny, man. Jesus, you started skipping school, but you mentioned like the when we went to the DMs, you're like you're going to graduate in 60 days. Did that happen or what?
I am about to graduate in 9 days. I have
Okay,
my official graduation in 9 days, but technically I have passed all my exams, finished school. Now I have all the time in the world for my business, and yeah, it's just so liberating. And I remember I got my first sale on Gumroad sitting in class, and it was just like €1 donation, and I was like
yeah.
so happy about it. But I had my classmates behind me sitting there like, oh my gosh, €1? Like, what the hell is that? Like, only one
yeah,
euro, that's nothing.
yeah,
But it was
yeah,
the world to me, and it was
yeah.
like so like huge to me, and like I was like, screw you, like I'm loving my life. And
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Man. I mean, yeah. When I closed my first client, which is my first dollar, dude, I bookmarked that in my journal. Like I I bookmarked that in my journal because I want to go back to that all the time. Like just remember, because the feeling is crazy when you get that first
It
dollar, man.
is. It
Yeah,
is
yeah,
so great. Like, it was truly like, oh my gosh, my dreams are possible. That kind of
yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, so this is kind of like a thought experiment, but say like X didn't work out, right? I mean now it's working, so it's not I, I don't think I'm jinxing it anymore, but say X didn't work, right? And you followed up with your plan like screw this, like you just pivoted. Where would you have like can you imagine yourself in that position? Where would you have pivoted if that's the case,
Hmm.
you think?
I think, well, because at the time when I started, I didn't have money to afford a mentor.
Mm.
And if it didn't work out, and if I didn't see any progress for 2 months straight, I would be left very hopeless, and I would pivot to probably starting like an agency or something. But that was literally what I was initially doing. I got
Agency
on
for
X
what?
to like, I don't know. I was like, I'm gonna start an
Just
SMMA.
agency.
I was like, just agency. So I'll do SMMA, and I'll start writing on Twitter. And I was like,
Hmm.
I'm pretty good at like copywriting and I enjoy it. How about I ditch SMMA? And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna start writing emails. I'm gonna be an email marketer. So that was my niche for like a 1 month or like two. And that's when I like became much better at it. And that's when I also like realized, actually, I do not want to be an email marketer. I want to do coaching. And that's when I again changed my niche for the third time. But this is just to say that you can change anything at any point in time and it's not going to hurt your brand. But to answer your question, it's like, what would I be doing in that case? I think I would just like stick to Twitter, but like change the business model, change kind of the
I
vehicle
see.
that I was going for. I would have probably tried, because I had tried everything, every single like business model, in my opinion. I would have just like stuck to this because this is the last
I
shot
see.
I have.
I
And
see.
I would just like keep posting, keep figuring stuff out because again, I didn't have money. I couldn't afford a mentor. So I would do it all on my own, like watch some YouTube videos and try to figure out like how to
Yeah.
build an agency, then how to start earning money online, or like what's the best way to utilize X and that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
think that's what I would have ended up doing. But however, like I'm so grateful that this turned out to be very successful, and as it was literally my last shot.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting because like now that what I'm hearing from you is that in a way was X is all or nothing at that point. No.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and I knew that
yeah.
I didn't want to like go back to working and
Mm.
slaving for €3 an hour, like working with people, like being a people pleaser and like doing all that kind of stuff. And I just knew that this is the last chance. And this is the last shot that I get myself out of my comfort zone, that I get myself out of this like vicious cycle of like going back to applying to a job and getting a secure like salary. And it was just like a huge turning point because I realized whenever I failed a business online, I would go back to like applying a new job. But I knew that this is the last time I was
Right.
working at this job. So I was like, I'm
Yeah.
going all in or nothing, and I'm gonna make my plan A like work out.
Yeah. Plan A. The plan B is to work to make plan A work. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that. I love it. I love it. So right now, then that you're successful, what would you say like the biggest challenges you're facing right now?
I would say time management because currently my days are looking really hectic. I have many calls, many back-to-back calls every single day. I'm trying to deliver the best results for my clients, trying to keep up with the quality of my content, and trying to manage all these things on my own. However, like I want to do it all on my own for now until I like get great at it. And like I think like currently is just like finding the right balance because I have set very huge goals for myself for
Mm.
June.
Yeah.
As yeah, I mentioned in my post, like giveaway and like community and all this kind of stuff. So it's just like finding the right balance because most of the time I like work like 10 hours a day or even more sometimes, and I do not even find time to like go outside and enjoy the day or like get more sun. And but at the end I realized that I love what I'm doing and I know it will pay off. So I just stick with it and I just try to do work in the most enjoyable way
Mm.
possible, in a way that is like very pleasant for me to do, that brings me joy and that is not draining, that is not like another 9 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you'll be tempted to say, "Oh fuck this," right? Like you'll be like, "Fuck this, man, do this."
Yeah. Smash my
Yeah.
PC.
Oh, dude, like you posted something like that, right? Dude? You are so man. You are scary, bro. You are scary. But yeah, so you mentioned your plans for June, right? Those are your short-term plans: build a community, do a lead magnet, another lead magnet. How about like your? Have you ever thought of long-term plans? You know, like 1 year, 5 years, or something like that. What's your
Yeah.
plan?
Yeah. Yeah. My I would say my plans by the end of the summer to make 10K month.
Mm.
And I already have a plan on how I'm going to achieve that. And I would just probably just start investing my money into like more
Mm.
mentors and courses because
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't able to do that in the beginning. And my long-term goal, let's say in about a year, would be to like make, I don't know, in terms of like monthly recurring, maybe like 30K, because
Mm.
if you have a plan and if you have the right resources and if you're actually like setting your mind to achieving that goal every single
Mm.
day, failure is not an option. Like you
Yeah.
will eventually, inevitably, like win. You
Mm.
will get those goals. You will succeed. And so I'm thinking like if I'm taking a gap year and I'm putting my head down on like one thing for 1 year straight, for one goal, for a whole year straight, I do not see myself not achieving that goal.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, my goal is to also like travel a lot more, because growing up, I didn't grow up in a wealthy family and we didn't travel much.
Mm.
So I really want to have the freedom of going to Bali or like Dubai and traveling more around the Europe and
You should visit Philippines,
being
bro.
I
You
really
should
want
visit
to
Philippines.
yeah, visit Asia and
Mm.
really explore Europe more, and definitely go to New York and just have that freedom I've always wanted to have, and like location freedom, being the digital nomad, and
Mm.
yeah, just also like finding more friends, good friends, yeah.
For sure. So with the in terms of gap years, like, is that a gap year, or are you considering not going to college anymore?
So I'm not considering to going to college at all. Like that's just the
Yeah, I knew it.
disguise.
Yeah.
That's just the yeah, that's just the story I tell my parents. Like I'm just gonna skip it for 1 year and then I'll get back to it. But
Yeah.
I'll never do that. Yeah.
Bro, what a gangster. Dude, you
So
should.
I'll
That's whenever I tag you or like when I talk to you, you're gonna be a gangster to me, bro. Dude, you're the most badass 18-year-old I've met in my life, bro. Dude, like your attitude towards life, man, he's such a gangster. So
I'll take that.
yeah, man. That's your community right there, gangster. Oh,
My
dude,
tribe.
gang Esther. Right, like gang. Oh my god, dude. Oh shit, bro. I made a fucking like community name for you, bro. Gang Esther, right?
Gangster.
The gang of Esther, who are gangsters. Oh
And you're
fuck.
definitely gonna be one of those. You're
Yeah,
definitely gonna be
man.
part of it.
I'd be honored to. I'd be honored to be one of the gang Esthers. Dude, that's so cool.
Gangsters. Let's build Esther tribe. Let's build Esther tribe.
Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate again. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy woman. You mentioned earlier. And to just end this, I like to ask. I don't want to miss anything on the table. So, if you were in my position and you were going to ask yourself a question, that was a confusing thing. But let's reframe that. So, if I had one question that you wish I asked, what would it have been, and how would you have answered it?
Okay, great question. This got me thinking, maybe like, what was the number one mistake you wish you wouldn't have made when you
Mm.
started this journey? And my answer to that would be I don't think I've made any mistakes, but like
What gangster, bro? Dude, yeah, no mistakes, bro. No mistakes. Well, a gangster, no regrets. Yeah, bro.
No.
Dude, like, you should make a gang sign like S-E, Esther. Yeah, this Esther.
No, I'm
I
just
don't know, but
joking.
yeah. Okay, moving on.
No.
Sorry, I'm just so hyped up. You're so funny, man.
No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. We all make mistakes. So I would say probably getting a mentor right at the start, because
Mm,
well, my issue was that like I couldn't afford, like I physically could not afford if I
mm,
wanted to. So if I had different circumstances and if I had been able to afford a mentor, I would have got one,
mm,
because it is just like a mentor answers all your questions, and like
Yeah.
you sleep safe and sound at night, and like you know what the hell you're doing, and like I think that's just one thing I would have done maybe, but I wouldn't say like I regret it. I do not regret like trying things on my own, and
Yeah.
only getting a mentor like 3 months after
Yeah.
starting this journey. So maybe that, and also just focusing on making connections, because connections is like the number one thing that can either break or make your brand.
Mm.
And I was also very much afraid of like getting on calls with people and like making friends, because I was like
Mm.
socially awkward or like introverted as hell. But I just
Mm.
like one day decided to like hop on a call with a friend of mine who's a great friend of mine right now, and yeah, it just like turned out to be so great, because you expand your networks
Yeah.
and you also can learn from each other and like benefit from each other. So I would say definitely focusing like a lot on networking, as it is
Mm.
like one of your best assets you could have when you're just like a small creator, because chances are other people have like ways to help you when you're beginning out. And yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna build the Gang-Esther, bro. The gangsters, bro. That's the ultimate network site. Watch out, everyone. The Gang-Esters is going to launch
Gangster.
on June. So
Yes.
yeah, I appreciate you hopping in, Esther. And or sorry, what? How do you pronounce like your actual name again?
In my native language is
Yeah,
Esther.
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 Is that
Esther.
correct? I'll just
Yeah.
Esther. Esther.
Yeah, that's great. But you can call me Esther.
It's Esther school. I want to
Esther
be.
is cool.
I'm gonna be unique. But yeah, thanks for hopping in, and yeah, it was fun talking to you. We'll talk again soon. So yeah, thank you.
Totally. Likewise. And thank you so much for having me. And yeah, take care.
Bye.
Bye.